Australia on February 11, 2008, Prime Minister Kevin Rudd formally apologised to Indigenous Australians for past injustices. United Kingdom on February 11, 1975, Margaret Thatcher became the first female leader of the Conservative Party. Peru Machu Picchu was declared a UNESCO World Heritage Site on February 11, 1983. Philippines. The People Power Revolution in 1986 led to the ousting of Ferdinand Marcos. United States. Whitney Houston, a legendary singer, was found dead on February 11, 2012. South Africa. Nelson Mandela was released from prison on February 11, 1990, after 27 years of incarceration. Iran. Ayatollah Khomeini took control of Iran on February 11, 1979, establishing the Islamic Republic. Germany. Adolf Eichmann was indicted for war crimes on February 11, 1961, leading to his trial. Pakistan. The Lahore-Islamabad motorway, M2, was inaugurated on February 11, 1997, boosting infrastructure development. Turkey. On February 11, 2023, Turkey continued recovery efforts after the devastating earthquake earlier that month. Japan. February 11 is celebrated as National Foundation Day, marking the mythical ascension of Emperor Jimmu. Russia. The Soviet Union launched the first weather satellite, Meteor 1, on February 11, 1969. France. The French Revolution saw the establishment of the First Republic on February 11, 1794. India. The first session of the Constituent Assembly was held on February 11, 1946, to draft the constitution. Pakistan. On February 11, 2011, protests erupted in solidarity with the Arab Spring, calling for political reforms. China. The Yalta Agreement was signed on February 11, 1945, shaping post-World War II geopolitics. Italy. Vatican City gained independence on February 11, 1929, through the Lateran Treaty. Canada. The Canadian Parliament passed the War Measures Act on February 11, 1914, during World War I. Brazil. The Carnival of Rio de Janeiro was officially recognized as a cultural event on February 11, 1932. Mexico. The Mexican Constitution was promulgated on February 11, 1917, shaping the country's governance. South Korea. The Korean War armistice talks began on February 11, 1951, aiming to end the conflict. Egypt. On February 11, 2011, President Hosni Mubarak resigned after mass protests during the Egyptian Revolution. Nigeria. The Nigerian Civil War ended on February 11, 1970, reuniting the country after years of conflict. Argentina. The first Argentine satellite, SACD, was launched on February 11, 2011, for Earth observation.
Maldives. The Maldives held its first democratic presidential election on February 11, 2008. Saudi Arabia. The discovery of oil on February 11, 1938, transformed Saudi Arabia's economy and global influence. Ethiopia. The Battle of Adwa in 1896 marked Ethiopia's victory over Italian colonial forces. Vietnam. The Tet Offensive in 1968 became a turning point in the Vietnam War. Indonesia. The Bandung Conference in 1955 promoted solidarity among Asian and African nations. Thailand. King Bhumibol Adulyadej became the world's longest reigning monarch on February 11, 1989. Vatican City. The Lateran Treaty was signed on February 11, 1929, granting Vatican City independence. Kenya. The Mau Mau uprising against British colonial rule began on February 11, 1952. Ghana. Kwame Nkrumah declared Ghana's independence from Britain on February 11, 1957. Cuba. Fidel Castro became prime minister on February 11, 1959, establishing a communist regime. Venezuela. The Caracazo riots on February 11, 1989, protested economic austerity measures. Colombia. The Colombian peace agreement was signed on February 11, 2016, ending decades of conflict. Chile. The 2010 earthquake in Chile on February 11 was one of the strongest ever recorded. Bangladesh. The Bengali language movement gained momentum on February 11, 1952, leading to independence. Sri Lanka. The Sri Lankan Civil War began on February 11, 1983, lasting nearly 3 decades. Nepal. Mount Everest was first summited by Tenzing Norgay and Edmund Hillary on February 11, 1953. Myanmar. Aung San Suu Kyi was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize in 1991 for her nonviolent struggle. Zimbabwe. The Lancaster House Agreement on February 11, 1979, led to Zimbabwe's independence. Uganda. Idi Amin seized power on February 11, 1971, beginning a brutal dictatorship. Tanzania. The Zanzibar Revolution on February 11, 1964, overthrew the Sultanate. Mozambique. The Mozambican Civil War ended on February 11, 1992, bringing peace to the nation. Sudan. South Sudan gained independence on February 11, 2011, becoming the world's newest country. Iraq. The fall of Baghdad on February 11, 2003, marked the end of Saddam Hussein's regime. Afghanistan. The Soviet invasion in 1979 escalated Cold War tensions on February 11. Libya. Muammar Gaddafi seized power on February 11, 1969, ruling for over 4 decades. Syria. The Syrian civil war began on February 11, 2011, causing a massive humanitarian crisis.